Anyone have any idea what what we're going to talk about? Anyone? Any guesses? Anyone? Of course it's Sue. Today it's Tuesday. We're going to talk all about the largest and most complete T-Rex specimen ever found, Sue the T-Rex. I'm not even going to show you a picture because you guys know what T-Rexes look like. And so I'm excited to see how you are going to iterate your paleo art drawings that have Sue the T-Rex in it. I'm excited to see where you maybe put Sue, like what location, maybe what they're doing, maybe who they are with. I'm gonna leave that up to you, but I'm excited to see your iterations of Sue the T-Rex in our paleo art gallery. Something we did not discuss that we usually do, that I usually do with my co-hosts, is who is going to play Dino or not a Dino. So yeah, let's look around the room. I'm happy to field suggestions from you. I know there's one person who said they wanted to play, but I don't actually see them here today.
I would like to nominate Jenna Hartley and her family because they're here every day.
Has Jenna ever played?
Jenna, have you played? I'm getting a no.
Okay, as soon as I find them.
Let me unmute them.
You can unmute them.
All right, Jenna, you're on.
So I'd like to say it won't be me. It's all going to be Everett. This is Everett.
That's fair. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Everett, you're up. You're playing Dinah or not.
We're going to smack something.
I made these. Jen and Everett. I made these a little bit harder today, so just bear that in mind. Everett, are you ready to play Dino or not a Dino? He seems to have the same amount of energy I do, but he uses his legs more.
This is normal.
This is normal. I love that. I'm here for it.
Come here, bud.
All right.
You're up.
So here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not familiar with Dino or not a Dino, I'm going to read Everett and Jenna 10 animal names, some of which are actual dinosaurs, some of which we have totally made up. Now, it is your job, Jenna and Everett, to simply identify the dinos from the not dinos. If you need help, you can look around and ask the Zoom room. People are going to give you thumbs up or thumbs down. You only have to get 6 out of 10. Jenna and Everett, are you ready to play?
That means makes me snuggle.
Okay, I think that's a yes.
Okay, that's a yes. Everett, I have a question. Is this a dinosaur? Number one, Daspletosaurus. He's saying no. Jen, I'm going to go to you for the final answer. Is Daspletosaurus a dinosaur?
I mean, I think I just am going to let him do his thing. So.
Well, now he's got a thumb up. I don't know.
Is
Everett.
it up or down? Yes or no?
Yes.
Now he says yes.
All right, well, that's correct. Daspletosaurus is a dinosaur, and one of my favorite names to say, because if someone pointed at it and asked what dinosaur it was, I could simply be like, oh, Daspletosaurus. So you are 1 for 1. Well done. Number 2, Murrayonyx.
Hang on, let's talk about this. What do you think?
Murrayonyx. We'll look around the room. I don't
Oh,
really
yeah,
see
we
a lot
got
of
to
Getting
color.
a few thumbs down in the room.
Okay.
Okay, we got the room on now. Agus says yes. Catherine says no.
Murrayonyx.
Where's
I
Michael
can
Partham?
spell these should you need a
Michael Partham.
spelling.
Michael Partham's saying no. What do you think? Yes or no? Pooshy dooshy. He's had his thumb up.
All right. Murrayonyx, unfortunately, is not a dinosaur. You're now 1 for 1. That's all right. You're doing good. Also, remember, there's a theme.
That's right.
There's a theme for the not dinosaurs. See if you can figure that out. A hint is that Sue is based in Chicago. Number 3, Alioramus.
He's got a thumb up.
That is correct. Alioramus
Seeing lots
is
of
a
thumbs
dinosaur.
up.
You're 2 and 1. There's
Also,
actually,
sidebar, Everett likes iguanodon, so instead of a fist bump, we always do an iguanodon with a thumb up.
oh, I like
spiky
that.
thumb
I like that. That's very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So remember, there is a theme for the not dinos. If anyone in the Zoom can figure that out, awesome. There's also a theme for the dinos. So if you can figure out either of those, send a message in the chat. I'm excited to see.
Please, all help.
Number 4, Guanlong.
Guanlong. I think we know this one.
Is
I think I've heard
Guanlong a
this one.
dinosaur?
I think I've seen this in one of your books. He's got his thumb up. We're locking it in.
That is correct. Guanlong is a dinosaur. You're 3-1, crushing it, doing well. Number 5, we're halfway there. Burrasaura. Burrasaura.
What?
Burrasaura.
That sounded about like Murray. That was a no.
Oh, say it again.
We
No.
got a lot of thumbs down, Everett. A lot of thumbs down.
Wow,
You're
you are
locking it
correct.
in.
Burrasaura is not a dinosaur. You have now gotten 4 correct, 1 wrong. Moving on. Cecilonicus. Cecilonicus.
Okay, you're not lying. These are hard.
What?
Said you're not lying. These are hard.
Yeah, I know. I tried to make these a little bit
I
harder
see.
because everyone's getting 10 out of 10. Cecilonicus. Cecilonicus.
Martin always knows what's up, and he's got a thumb down.
Yeah,
Megan's
I'm
thumb
also
down.
seeing lots of thumbs down.
Yeah. I'm going to need the final
Everett,
answer.
I don't even know where Everett went. Everett, lock it in. Cecilonicus, yes or no? He's saying no.
That is correct. Wow. 5-1. Well done. Next, number 6, Lithronax. Is Lithronax a dinosaur?
Lithronax.
Lithronax.
Your show.
Go smacking.
Go
We
smacking
got
thumbs
some,
down.
Oh,
Final answer, Jenna.
You want
a
to
lot
look
of
around the Zoom room first?
enthusiastic thumbs up.
Your thumbs down.
Everett, Michael Partham's saying thumbs up though, and that's your boy.
Nope.
See Michael Partham, thumbs up. Look, he's yelling at you, thumbs up. Michael's your guy. He's got your back.
Lithronax.
Lithronax.
Are you going to
Let's
agree
say
with
yes.
Michael or not?
Yeah.
All right. Good choice. That is a dinosaur.
Thanks, Michael.
Gotten
Thank you,
6
Michael.
right, 1 wrong. That's, according to math, 7. We have
I
3 more.
Try to bend this wire.
Number 8.
Number 8.
Protocephalinch. 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 I'm looking around. A lot of
Will you
blank
give a
stares today.
spelling? Will you
Carl-
He asked for a spelling.
Would you? Oh, I can absolutely spell that.
He can't spell.
Thank you,
He
Everett.
asked
Here
for
we
a
go.
spelling.
Everett, it is Protocephalynch, protocephalinch.
Protocephalus. I'm going to say it's not a dino.
You are correct, sir. Everett, you're crushing it. That is correct. That is not a dinosaur. We've got 2 more.
I did it!
Hey, you're not out of the clear yet. You got 2 more, buddy. Here we go.
Okay, lucky, let's go.
Teratophonius. Teratophonius.
Will you get a spelling?
Again?
Sure. Teratophonius. Teratophonius.
Teratophonius. I'm going to go say with yes.
Megan is incorrect. Everett, you are correct. Teratophonius is a dinosaur. Sorry for calling you out, Megan, but you had an enthusiastic thumbs down when it is in fact a dinosaur. Its name means monstrous murderer. Teratophonius. Pretty cool name. Last but not least, Everett, this is it. This is number 10. If you get this correct, you've only missed 1. You got a 90, which is great. Last but not least, Belushimimus. Belushimimus.
No, I'm feeling like this has to do with John Belushi. I don't watch very much TV though.
Okay, so you
And
have
Bill
figured out
Murray,
that
he
the
plays
name
Bill
John
Murray.
Belushi is in that. Can you figure out the theme of the Not Dinos based on that? Jenna, this is for you as an adult. Belushi.
I know, I'm a really bad adult. I never had a TV.
Let me say the
I
other
feel like
Not
it has to
Dinos we
do
had-
something with Bill Murray.
Well, so we had the other Not Dinos were Murrayonyx. We had Burrasaura. We had Cecilonicus and Protocephalinch.
These are likely
Anyone-
characters from some really famous movie I've never seen.
Can anyone in the chat figure out? Oh, Alex is close with
Alex is
SNL actors. Very close.
Dinosaur.
Not quite.
Everett has asked for a spelling again. I'm sorry.
Sure. Belushimimus.
Everett, what do you think?
All right. That is, you're right, Everett. That is not a dinosaur. And the theme, it seems like people are dancing right around it. The theme were comedians from Chicago. So Bill Murray,
That's great.
Cicely Strong, Hannibal Buress,
a
Jane
Iguanodon.
Lynch, and then of course the Belushi
Let's
brothers.
do it.
Nice.
Who, Iguanodon? Okay.
Everett,
Can you say
high five.
thanks to Mr.
Everett,
Dustin?
air high
Thank you,
five.
Mr. Dustin.
Thank you for playing. You got 9 out of 10. That's amazing. Well done.
Thank you.
Of course. So I have a question for M, because I like to put my co-host to the ringer. The Not Dinos were all comedians from Chicago. Do you know the theme for the Dinos, which were Daspletosaurus, Alioramus, Guanlong, Lithronax, and Teratophonius?
I've gotten a couple hints from the audience that
Okay.
it might be all Tyrannosaurs.
Absolutely right. All the actual dinosaurs are part of the Tyrannosauridae family, close cousins and relatives to Sue the T-Rex. And that brings us straight to Sue the T-Rex. So now, you guys, I know a lot of you have heard of Sue. I have a couple questions. In fact, I have a poll that I actually want to start with. Give me 1 second here. Polling. Oh, why are we sharing the poll results? We don't need that. We need a new poll. Here we go. All right, so I mentioned at the top that Sue is the reason why we're talking about Sue out of all T-Rexes is Sue is the largest and most complete T-Rex ever found. To get this ball rolling, I'm curious to know what percentage of Sue's overall bulk was discovered? By weight, what percentage of Sue's overall bulk was discovered? Was it 77%, 85%, 90%, or 73% of all statistics are made up? Except for this one. I guess, although everything is made up, technically. We make this all up, all of this. Ooh, we have a lot of votes for B at 85%, 77%, 85%, or 90%. I guess the answer is D and something else. Most people are, 85% is in the lead, which I think is a psychological thing about people choosing the B answer. I feel like B always gets the most votes when people are unsure in a poll. Sue, the largest, most complete T-Rex ever found. What percentage of the bulk was uncovered? 24% of people have voted for 77%. 41% of you voted for 85%. 26% of you voted for 90%. And guess what? The correct answer is 90%. C, 90% of Sue the T-Rex's bulk in weight has been uncovered, making it the largest, most complete specimen of all time. 73% of its body based on like individual bone parts. But as far as bulk goes and overall weight, 90%, making Sue the largest and the most complete T-Rex ever found, which is why, one of the reasons why we're talking about it today. And so as we talk about Sue the T-Rex, I wanted to basically break this down into 3 parts. One, a quick history from uncovery to display, and then the reason why we find Sue so scientifically important and interesting. And then lastly, Sue as basically an internet and Twitter icon and what that's all about and why that is actually really cool, really important, and a great example of both museum education and internet science communication. So we'll get to that in a minute, but first the history. So I have some photos I want to share along the way. Come with me on a visual journey that started way back in August of 1990, August 12th to be exact. What am I doing? Oh, why is my screen? Hold on a sec, guys. I'm all over the place today. I apologize. Ba-ba-ba-da. Boop, 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 doo, doo, doo. Em, how you doing? How's it going?
Doing pretty good. Very excited to talk about maybe my favorite dino of all time.
I like that you're not navigating in absolutes. It's very scientific of you, saying maybe or one of the. I'm here for that. All right. Is my computer going to work properly? It is. Here we go. Give me 1 more second. Boom. And it has begun. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. This is me standing at the Field Museum a couple years ago with the one and only Sue the T-Rex. We'll talk more about that in a second. But Sue's story starts way back in 1990, specifically August 12th. And I'm saying that because that is only 5 days away from my birthday. So Sue, just like myself, is a loud and out and proud Leo. And Sue is named Sue because on August 12, 1990, they were discovered by the one, the only fossil explorer, Sue Hendrickson. So this is her on the left, maybe not on August 12th, but somewhere right around then. This is her on the right many years later. The way that it was actually found is they were looking for not T-Rexes. I think they found a bunch of hadrosaurs. I forget the exact species. And then their cruise truck, got a flat tire, and most of the crew went to town to go get the tire fixed. And Sue was like, yo, I'm gonna stick around, look around in some areas we haven't looked around. And lo and behold, she stumbles upon the largest and most complete T-Rex of all time. This is another picture of them and her at the dig site. You can see those giant teeth jutting out of the rock. And as someone who's done a couple days of field research and basically just found tiny little bone fragments and plants, stumbling upon this is like, I mean, even crazier than needle in a haystack. But it's obviously an amazing and very important discovery. That was way back in 1990. From about 1992 to 1995, there was, I'm going to put this in light terms, ownership dispute. And if you want to know more about that, you should watch the movie Dinosaur 13, which is great. And it talks all about the process and the story from the discovery up into, well, the legal battle that ensued about who actually has ownership over Sue. So that was from 1992 to 1995. And then what did I do? Did I jump ahead? Did I jump, 2007? Did I mess up my dates here? I totally messed up my dates. Anyway, a few years later, Sue went on auction and was auctioned off for a whopping $8.4 million, which is to this day still the highest amount of money any dinosaur has ever been auctioned for. And that is it went to the Field Museum. So the Field Museum, with help from actually the Walt Disney Corporation as well as McDonald's, put forth about $8 million to own Sue. And I actually appreciate this kind of collaboration between a museum, cultural institution, and the private sector, because had the private sector not gotten involved for the greater good of the public, some private collector would have just paid millions of dollars for this specimen, and it would be in their mansion and no one ever see it. So you don't hear me say this often, but shouts to McDonald's. Anyway, so that was in, I forget the date. I wrote that date down incorrectly. Maybe that was 2007? No? August or October 2007? No, 2000. I don't remember the exact date. Oh, well. And then it went on display at the Field Museum, which you're seeing right here. Yeah, I'm messing up dates. This is why I don't focus on dates specifically. Then it went on Field Museum display right here. Thank you. 1997. 2000 was when that's what I messed up. I wrote 2007, not 1997. 1997, it was auctioned for 8.4 million years. That's why, $8.4 million. In 2000, it finally went on display in Stanley Field Hall at the Field Museum in Chicago. Here's some beautiful images of Sue that I took a few years back when I was visiting. That was in the year 2000. In the year 2009, the Twitter account at Sue the T-Rex was created, which is really like a second birthday. And because of that, I'm actually very curious to know, we're going to go to my second poll of the day. Do you follow Sue on Twitter? Yes, no, or you're not on Twitter? Just curious to know as we're moving forward. Are you following Sue on Twitter or are you not on Twitter? Really, this is just a poll for those of you who answer no that are on Twitter but not following Sue, which in my mind means you're using Twitter incorrectly. But it's a very easy remedy. You should follow Sue immediately on the Twitters. It looks like 58% of you are on Twitter following Sue. 30% of you are not on Twitter. That's good for you. Sue is super dead and has been cursed for eternity to live forever on Twitter, the biggest hellscape possible. Okay, so I'm gonna end this poll. I'm gonna share these results. Looks like about 60% of you are on Twitter and follow Sue. 9 of you are on Twitter but don't follow Sue, which I'm sure you're gonna go rectify very soon. There's a guy. All right, I'm gonna share these results.
I have an update from Michael Partham. Sue was auctioned off in 1997.
Yes, I wrote 2007. That's why I was so confused on my timeline, because my timeline jumped from 95 to 2007 back to 2000. So 1997 is when the Field Museum got them at auction. All right, and then in 2009, the Twitter account is created. We're going to come back to that. 2014, Dinosaur 13 is released. If you want to know more about the history and the legal battle, the ownership dispute, check out Dinosaur 13. It's a very fun ride, regardless if you're a dinosaur nerd or not. But if you're in this room right now, I have to assume you are at least somewhat of a dinosaur nerd, because otherwise you have stumbled into very much the wrong Zoom room. And then in 2018, the Field Museum, oh yeah, by the way, this is the Twitter account landing page? What do we call that? Em, you're on Twitter. What do we call this page? Profile page.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, there it is. That's it. If you also, so Sue is obviously a nickname. Every natural museum that has dinosaur specimens has them numbered. And so you'll see it says specimen FMNH PR 2081. That means Specimen Field Museum of Natural History. I'm not sure what the PR stands for. Perfect Rex 2018. I'm not sure. I'm not actually, if someone knows what that PR stands for, drop that in the comments, because I have no idea. And then in 2018, so this is Stanley Field Hall, which is the main big like exhibit hall through the center of the museum. They rent the space out for big weddings, birthday parties, corporate galas, that type of thing. And until 2018, Sue was basically right where the Tyrannosaurus tail is right now. And then in 2018, they're like, you know what? A national treasure like Sue the T-Rex deserves their very own private suite. And that is actually the last time I was in Chicago and got to lay eyes on my beloved Sue. This is through the window during the construction of their private suite back in 2018. So I have actually not been back. That's like one of my first action items after quarantine is finally make a trip back to Chicago to see Sue in all of their glory in their private murder bird suite at the Field Museum of Natural History in Chicago. So that is the general, very quick history of Sue from about, well, 65 million years ago until 1992, all the way up into 2020. Now, I'm going to get into some of the reasons now why, other than the fact that Sue's enormous, why it is scientifically interesting and important. But before we do that, I thought we would do that by starting with a poll, because that way you guys get to show me how smart you are. Okay, so we mentioned Sue is the biggest, most complete T-Rex ever found. And, oh, we already did that one. Come on, polls. Okay, there we go. So I'm curious to know if you guys know approximately how many T-Rex specimens have been discovered. Because we talk about Sue being the largest, the most complete, one of the most scientifically important. But of T-Rexes in general, how many T-Rex specimens have been discovered? Less than 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, or 4 and then pi. 3.14159265359 is pi. Let's see, most of you are guessing less than 20. Slightly behind is 30 to 40. 20 to 30 is about, oh, it's just, we're splitting this about a third. Wow, 21 votes. 23 votes for less than 20, 20 for 20 to 30, 20 votes for 30 to 40. This is split a third right down the board. Em, do you know? Do you have a guess?
Ooh, I want to guess less than 20, but 43.14 is an intriguing number that I probably would vote for.
So I'm trying to throw people off. I'm going to end this poll here. So it looks like most of you voted that less than 20 T-Rex specimens have been discovered. It's actually just over 30. So somewhere between 30 and 40 T-Rex specimens have been discovered, which is a relatively large sample size. And so when we say Sue is the largest and most complete, they've got at least 30 other T-Rexes beat. Number one. Okay. Here's my second question, or not second, because who knows how many questions I'm going to ask you guys today. We talked about this a lot. I'm curious to know, do you guys think that Sue, the T-Rex, had oh wait, this is not the right one. We did this yesterday. Whoops, forget that. We're moving on. All right. So we talk a lot about T-Rexes and other theropods, which, remember, the three-toed, primarily carnivorous dinosaurs having feathers. And so I say this because we're going to get into kind of the facts and figures and the reason why T-Rex is really important scientifically speaking. And so the first thing I'll obviously have to talk about are feathers. So you see a lot of interpretations and paleoart depictions, much like this one, on the internet now, showing T-Rex with feathers. I like this one probably the most of all the feathered T-Rexes I've seen. It seems subtle. It looks realistic. It's, again, and when I say looks realistic, it's just based off of what we think and hypothesize these things may have looked like covered in feathers. I've said this before, but there's no direct evidence of T-Rex with feathers. But so many of its cousins, much like many of the ones I mentioned earlier, Alioramus, and other T-Rex cousins, have been found with direct evidence of feathers. So it stands to reason T-Rex probably had some feathers as well. The same way how we've never found fur on a Smilodon or saber-toothed cat, but we infer that they had fur in fur because other cats had fur. That being said, there's also a lot of debate about whether or not T-Rex had a lot more feathers or featheration as a baby and as a teen and as a kid, and then lost much of that as it aged. I can't speak positively or negatively on that, except for the fact that a baby T-Rex is one of the cutest little murder chicken things possibly ever. This is what we think a baby T-Rex may have looked like. We think they probably had feathers. And again, these are other very close relatives. This is Tyrannosaurus, which has been found. It's about, like, I would say half the size of a T-Rex, close relative, direct evidence of feathers we found in this one. And then this is an image, a depiction of Nanotyrannosaurus. And there's a fair amount of debate whether or not Nanotyrannus is actually just a juvenile or like teenage T-Rex, or a completely different species of Tyrannosaur that didn't simply grow as large as Sue and other Tyrannosaurus Rexes. We're not really sure. So as far as feathers go, my bet, and much like this poll, I'll just show you guys this poll because we did it yesterday. There it is. There we go. We did this poll yesterday. I would say the answer is it's probable, right? There's no way for us to say absolutely without a doubt that T-Rexes had feathers, but they probably did because, again, so many of its relatives did. Another thing that we kind of have to speculate on is T-Rex speed, right? There's been a lot of debate with respect to how fast a T-Rex could actually move. You get wild estimates, anywhere from like 10 miles per hour to 30 miles per hour. We think the T-Rex in Jurassic Park was probably moving a little faster than they would have been capable of. Current estimates put it around 12 to 15 miles per hour at top speed. It's not like the fastest dinosaur by any means. Velociraptor was probably about twice as fast. Remember, the fastest dinosaur that we've talked about is Gallimimus, or one of the ornithomimises or ornithomimosaurs, up to 45-ish miles per hour. And if you're curious, if you, or I for that matter, could actually beat a T-Rex in a foot race, I made a YouTube video where I race a T-Rex. If someone could drop the link to that in the chat, that would be appreciative. Appreciative? My brain is not working or functioning properly today, but that's okay. I'm excited. We're talking about the greatest dinosaur in the history of all time. So while we are not sure exactly how fast a T-Rex would have run, it's a very fun thing to speculate about. And it's a very fun thing for me to make a very speculative YouTube video actually racing a T-Rex. So about 12 to 15 miles per hour. Now, I also want to talk for a hot second about, well, this mouth that I'm going to show you guys in a second. Here we go. About this mouth, right? So we've talked before about T-Rex. T-Rex is amazing for a number of reasons. It is America's dinosaur for a whole host of reasons I could get into, but one of the most important, I think, is the Tyrannosaurus Rex. It wasn't the largest theropod ever, right? We have a couple theropods that are probably a little bit bigger, Spinosaurus, Giganotosaurus, but as far as we know, based on biometrical studies, T-Rex had the strongest bite force of any animal that's ever lived on land. 13,000 pounds per square inch, which means when that thing chomps down, you have the weight of 13 grand pianos falling on a space about this big. To couple that with the fact that those teeth, I don't even call them teeth anymore, they are now affectionately known as murder bananas. Those murder bananas are curved backwards, so anything it's biting is not going the other way. And to make it even crazier and scarier, this murder banana, this is a replica of a murder banana. It would have, if this was the real one, T-Rex teeth and many other theropods, especially Tyrannosaurs, had serrations on two different edges, like double-sided steak knives, right? So this thing is chomping down with 13 grand pianos worth of pressure, biting and carving and cutting straight through flesh and muscle and bone to swallow chunks of animal whole, and then maybe even pooping them out somewhat whole, because we have found T-Rex coprolites, and coprolites are fossilized poop that are up to 50% chunks of bone. So yeah, we're not chewing mutts. We're just biting that entire goat in half, swallowing it and pooping out lamb chops, basically. So we talked about feathers, we talked about speed, we talked about the teeth and the bite force. A really cool detail that was reinstated and added back to Sue when they went to their suite was this right here. Well, this is the suite. Do you guys see those ribs on the lower side, the underside ribs? Those are known as gastralia. And I'm not actually sure. If someone knows why, please tell us in the chat why the original Sue mount in Stanley Field Hall before the private suite, why the gastralia was not included. But when they moved it up, when they moved Sue up to their private suite, they put the gastralia back on. Gastralia are those lower ribs that they support the abdomen as well as act as a place for muscle attachments. We see them in a fair amount of reptiles. So they put those back on. They actually moved the shoulders farther back down where we think they would have been more accurate, putting the arms not only closer together, but closer to the ground. Those are two differences in this Sue versus when Sue was down in Stanley Field Hall. You can see there's no gastralia here. The arms are a little bit wider out to the side. And I know I'm going rapid fire to get through all this. So if you have interruptions from the chat that add to what I'm saying, please let us know. So
I do have a couple interruptions for you.
Please interrupt away.
A couple people have submitted that the gastralia got added because it was a new discovery, and at the time when Sue was originally put on display, they didn't know how the gastralia fit into the skeleton.
Okay, that makes sense. Cool. Speaking of new discoveries, originally, we'll go back to this picture of Sue here. Originally, if you guys, I'm going to zoom in and see if we can see. You guys see those like holes right here on the lower jaw? Originally, we thought those were bite marks. We thought those were bite marks from either a fight with another Tyrannosaur or like scavenging after Sue died. It wasn't until a few years later. Now the prevailing consensus is actually that is caused by a parasitic infection. Those holes were caused by a parasitic infection. That's actually not the only thing that was wrong with Sue or like physical abnormalities. Some of the vertebrae on the tail were fused together, a sign of arthritis and old age. But really the most painful part was probably those holes. You can see them a little bit better now in this skull. These holes right here, again, not bite marks. Those are from a parasitic infection that would have eaten through the bone and been incredibly painful and eventually made it incapable for them to swallow and chew. So there's a distinct possibility that Sue actually died of starvation, which is ironic now given their love for ham on Twitter. But they did live to what we believe to be about 28, which makes Sue not only the largest and most complete T-Rex ever found, the oldest T-Rex ever found. So, which gives us clues about the life cycle and the growth rate of T-Rexes, right? We found some juveniles, their growth rate was bonkers. It was something like, I don't know, like 5 pounds a day as it was growing. But we think they lived probably to about 30 because Sue is the oldest T-Rex we've ever found, died at age 28. So those are the skull holes. Is that all the stuff I want to talk about? Yes, I did. Let's take a breather for a hot second, Em, for any questions or comments before we get into Sue's internet presence and a very special announcement that I have. Em, what do you got?
Ooh, okay. Okay, so a couple of people have asked how much of the skeleton that's on display is a cast of the original? Do we know?
Yeah, great question. I think the body is almost entirely the original. The skull is not. The skull that you see on display is a replica because the actual skull is studied so often by paleontologists and other scientists that it's actually in storage at the field so people can actually study it. So the skull is a replica that you see of the actual real one. And then I think almost all of the body is the original specimen. But the skull is not the real one. Which is
they have the skull displayed in like the room before you go into the new suite.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. There's a separate suite. Yep.
Actually,
quick sidebar. Let me find this picture again. When it was displayed down in Stanleyfield Hall, up above, you can see way above, that's a John Gertsch paleo artist painting that was commissioned for this. And you can kind of see just under the T-Rex's like feet and the rocket standing on, there's a top of a display case. That's where the skull was prior. And you're right, now it is right in front of the suite.
Update, Laurel just messaged me and said that all of Sue's skeleton is real except for a few of the ribs and a little tail bit.
Okay. Vast majority. Great.
And then a couple other people asked, do other T-Rexes have names? And what is the name of the AMNH T-Rex?
That's a good, some do, but I don't know that AMNH, I would know. I feel like I would know and remember if the AMNH one had a name. But no, that one doesn't. I think there's one called Scotty. There's one called Scotty. There's a few that have names. Yeah, the AMNH one needs a name. It also needs a Twitter account. Well, now it is Scotty. Oh, is it Scotty? Is Nico, is the AMNH one Scotty, or is that a different T-Rex? We'll see.
Maddie also says Scotty is the ANMH one. Carasaurus says that Scotty is in Edinburgh, and Inez says Tristan is the T-Rex in Berlin.
Cool. Oh, so at Yara Haridi's Natural History Museum, we had her on as a guest to talk osteology. All right, so we just mentioned T-Rex's skull. The real one is in that glass case. The replica is on the body. The actual real fossilized skull. How much does it weigh, guys? Here are your options. I'm going to launch the poll. Does Sue the T-Rex's skull weigh about as much as, bear with me, 1,800 bananas, 300 pineapples, 4 complete Oxford English dictionaries, 14 elephant hearts, 30 car tires, 122-liter bottles of pop, not soda because this is the Midwest, so it's pop, 2,400 sticks of butter, or 200 human brains. What is the equivalent weight of Sue the T-Rex's skull? I've launched the poll. No one is voting. There we go. Everyone is starting to vote. Most votes are coming in for 4 complete Oxford English dictionaries. We have, a lot of votes for 14 elephant hearts, 200 human brains. Not a lot of votes for 300 pineapples. Interesting. Okay. Still, 14 elephant hearts is in the lead with about 22% of the vote. We've got a lot of votes around 12%. 300 pineapples, 30 car tires, 122 liters, 2,400 sticks of butter. Currently in last place is 1,800 bananas. We need a couple more votes. We're at 82% of you have voted. Can we get that up to 85% voter turnout? Em, what did you vote for?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to go with 14 elephant hearts. That's a little too specific.
That is, and the others are very generic and just kind of broad sweeping. All right, I'm gonna end this poll. Congratulations to the 69 of 79 of you that have voted, because guess what, ladies and gentlemen, every single one of you are correct. I've done the math. Each of these things weighs about 600 pounds, which is the weight of Sue's skull. So in case you needed to know how many human brains you zombies need to collect to equal the weight of a human or of a T-Rex skull, it's about 200. Em, you don't like that poll. You're shaking your head.
I am shook. Math isn't real to me anymore.
It is a whole thing. It is a whole thing. So I'm going to go back now to sharing, let's see, this. Back to our screen here. So again, if you're not yet following Sue the T-Rex on Twitter, please do so. And I want to talk about 3 major reasons as to why. So first and foremost, we don't know if the dinosaur was a male or a female. There's possibly ways we could start looking into that, but that's not like a big question scientifically. We're much more interested in the growth rates, featheration, how parasites and other things could cause bone diseases that may have caused death. It tells us a lot more about their life cycle. So we just don't know if Sue is a male or female. We know it was found by Sue Hendricks, but because we don't know the dinosaur is a female, I think it's very smart and accurate and makes a lot of sense and is a great move to make Sue the T-Rex's presence on Twitter as non-binary, which means we don't know it's a male, we don't know if it's a female. So this is gender neutral, or doesn't specifically have a gender. And I really like that they have gone ahead and done that, because it speaks to the truth and accuracy with respect to the way we approach and study this fossil, right? We're not sure of its gender, so we're not going to gender it on Twitter as it has a personality and talks to people. So, and I bring that up because I think authenticity is 100% the most important thing when it comes to science, education, science communication. I don't care who you are, what you're talking about. People, and probably a lot of animals, can read when you're not being authentic, and that immediately turns people away. Like, it's probably pretty obvious that I am authentically excited to talk about this stuff. And I think that is captivating. And I think anyone who's ever worked with or taught kids in any museum or any school or any setting whatsoever knows that your enthusiasm is contagious. And if you can't be enthusiastic about something, it's very hard to get other people to be enthusiastic about it. So being a non-binary icon, especially in these days and time, I think is not only incredibly authentic, but incredibly necessary, and an incredibly smart move by the Field Museum. And I say this because museums, generally speaking, there's a whole movement called like museums are not neutral. And museums are not neutral. Like, we have a say, they have a voice, whether it's on site or on social media or on the internet. And speaking an authentic, true self from a museum gives people, I think, an easier way to get bought in and feel like they have a place within that institution, right? I think one of the biggest problems in the past with museums is that they've kind of positioned themselves on high as this like arbiter of knowledge, like, come and drink at our teat of information. We have all this info for you. You need to know all these facts. Come here, we will tell you them. Versus, oh no, this is a cool place that we can all explore and learn and have fun together. And when you give people more inroads to see themselves, not only represented at the museum, but like the things that they love and hold dear and care about, and their motivations, their goals. When you start seeing overlaps between those and overlaps of the goals and missions of the museum, that's where you get long-term buy-in with these educational institutions. And I think having a Twitter account that speaks its raw, honest truth and has a voice that is independent of the museum and can be snarky and cheeky and sassy and eating ham and having crushes on Megan Rapinoe, I'm 1,000% here for that, because both of those things, both the museum and the platform and on Twitter, are tremendous examples of great, what I would call great SciComm, science communication. Because, and this is my biggest pet peeve when it comes, again, to science communication, when it comes to museums, well, when it comes to, I guess, the initial interactions, when it comes to science education and science communication, your first job, and I firmly believe this, your first job as a science communicator is not to teach people things. Obviously, you are going to learn things along the way because you are a science communicator. The science is bred into what you're talking about. Your first job is not to assume people give a crap about what you're going to say. I honestly and firmly believe the first job, and we're going to talk about this tomorrow because we're going to do a whole day on science communication. Your first job is to engage and entertain. If you cannot engage and hook people first, then you might as well just be talking in one ear and out the other. You have to grab an audience first, show them why this is fun, why this is different, why they should care, and then the education and the science content will come from that. If you lead hardcore with the pedagogy and the information you want to get across, you are going to speak to the audience that's already bought in for that. And that's fine and that's great, but if your job, especially as a museum, is to reach more people, get more people to care about these things, get more people to care about museums, get more people to care about science, you have to give them an inroads to care. You can't assume they care first. And I think that Sue the T-Rex on Twitter is a great example of SciComm that is authentic, that puts the engagement entertainment first as an inroads to get people to care more about the science, about the dinosaur, and hopefully about the museum itself. Now, I say all of that because, as kind of a segue, because tomorrow we're going to do a whole episode with a returning champion, the one, the only Sarah McAnulty, who's head of Skype a Scientist. And we're going to talk a lot about just science communication in general and how we are what we were trying to do in science communication, who we're trying to reach, and how we're doing that. And we're going to talk a lot about the platform she has, which is called Skype a Scientist, which is connecting literally thousands of classrooms around the world with scientists to talk about why their research is amazing and why it matters. Now, and before we get to our Q&A and our drawings, I have two more announcements. One, again, we do this literally every single day. So if you want to throw us a couple bones, hopefully not parasitically infected bones, you can Venmo me at Dustin-Growick, or if you're on PayPal, dgrowick@gmail.com. I could especially use those extra funds now because this is the special announcement. You guys ready? So I know it's not a secret that Sue and I have a little bit of a relationship on Twitter. This crush has been going strong for a while. I don't like to talk too much about my personal life, but there is a quick announcement I'd like to make. When you heard it here first, we're having a kid. We're having a kid. This is them. They have just hatched. It's almost time to eat. I like that the shell is still on top. This is a perfectly anatomically correct size for a T-Rex egg as well. Also, I don't know if you guys knew this, but T-Rex eyeballs, when they're born, they actually glow red. So I want to let you guys know that we are expecting, I guess, in the process of hatching. There's no name yet, so if you'd like to suggest some names for my T-Rex, that is great. That would be great. Shouts to Sue. They've been great through this whole pregnancy process. You know, we get in some fights, but we make up. It's been nice. So, Em, there's one other thing I want to do while you are starting to ask the questions. So could you hit us with some questions before we go to the Paleo Art Gallery?
Let's do it.
I'm gonna
Haley asked. Oh.
No, go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay. Haley asked, were there other major theropods that were competing with the T-Rex? And if so, who would have dominated?
By major theropods, I'm not sure what you mean by major. Sorry, I had to do a quick wardrobe change because, you know, sometimes you just got to stand a legend. So here we are. This is you can get this shirt at the Field Museum gift shop. I highly recommend it. It's great. It's a good shirt. It's a good shirt.
But will it fit like that for everyone?
Listen, my body is a weird shape and the sleeves didn't quite fit right. So I was like, you know what? This is now going to be a running tank because nothing motivates you like pretending you're running from a T-Rex. So were there other large theropods at the time? Probably not as big as T-Rex. I'm not sure exactly what else was in the area of North America at that size, at that stage. Pretty sure someone in the chat will be able to tell you better than that. I mean, it was the apex predator. That should be pretty obvious. So actually, Martin or Michael might be able to give you more insight. I'm not sure what other giant apex predators were filling the same or similar ecological niches in North America at the time. Great question, though. I should know that.
And then Fred asked, if Sue is a 10 on the scale of awesomeness, where is Quetzalcoatlus on that scale?
Okay, so if we're making multiple scales, like if we're doing a flying reptile scale, because pterosaurs are flying reptiles, not dinosaurs, then Quetzalcoatlus is a 10. They're both 10s. If we're putting them on just one big, awesome, extinct animal scale, I would put T-Rex and Quetzalcoatlus both at 10s. I mean, T-Rex, we just talked about. Quetzalcoatlus is the largest animal to ever have flown. What more do you need? That's 10 out of, that might be 11 out of 10.
All right, that's all I have in questions right now. I do have an update from Michael
Okay.
that T-Rex was alone as a super apex predator at the time, at least in its environment where it's been found.
Okay, that would make sense. Dakota Raptor was around at the same time, but yeah, way smaller. Yeah, I can't imagine another large animal trying to compete with the T-Rex. All right, M, are you excited? Our scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for our Paleo Art Gallery of Sue?
Oh, at least an 11.
Okay, 11 out of 10, that's good. You guys, it is 12:53. We got about 6 more minutes. Hold up those renderings. I'm incredibly excited to see these. Also, please, if you're on Insta, post these, tag me, especially if you're on Twitter. Post these, tag me, tag Sue. If there's one thing Sue and I definitely have in common, it's that we love pandering. So here we go. Megan. Oh, I like the red kind of bloody murder bird scary aspect. Dustin's phone case. It's true. It's true. That's actually not my phone case. Apparently I need a new one, but good call. M, you drew while somehow.
I did.
While you were co-hosting.
The
lighting is
real rough.
Great. It's hard for us to see. That's okay.
Oh.
We're going to Jada. You and Jada are friends. How do you feel about this?
Oh, I love it. And you drew Maximo too.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. They didn't live in the same place in the same time, except for they do now at the Field Museum. Agus, I like that there's a banner over this when Dinosaur. Ooh, I like it's got the JP banner into it. Catherine. Oh, I get to walk Sue. That's so cute. Again, those
so precious.
Right? Ooh, I don't even know how you did that, but I really like the counter shading.
Ooh.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's actually probably the way you would have to write it, just holding on for dear life. I like that a lot. That's good. Let's go to Breviniraptor. We got Michael and Dustin and Zach. Cool. We got a whole squad here. Oh, and we're discovering, I assume, Sue's cousins here. Wow. M, how do we feel about this?
I love it. The hearts around Sue, mwah, exactly how I feel about Sue.
Yeah, this is really good. I like this. I like that you guys have gone pencil and paper, slightly different from Margot, who has gone digitally. Oh, it's like Sue at the museum looking at her bird cousins, their bird cousins. Excellent. Excellent. Amy. That's good. I like that. I like that you see some of the flesh and some of the skeleton. I mean, is that me giving flowers, I assume? Yeah, okay. That's good. Yep, that's accurate. Although I'd probably bring ham, just a big ham hock. That would make a little bit more sense. Inez, ooh. That's
that
good.
is so beautiful.
Right? You can even see the holes where the parasitic infection took over. We got Tony with a T-Rex shirt and a Sue skull.
Tony, what does your shirt say? If you love something, set it free. I love that. Unless it's a T-Rex.
That's good. Wow. Listen, this is Dinosaurus. You know you're one of our favorites. This is beautiful. There's a lot to comment upon the rear legs as well as what either is a front arm or like a second jaw. I like, it's up to interpretation. Dinosaurus, loving that. Ooh, Rachel, this is good. Rachel, this is, I like a little bit of feathers on the head, speculative with the big ham. We don't include the ham. Shout outs to None for the background here. Always coming to correct with the right backgrounds. Em, how do we feel about Yasmin's here?
I love it.
Ooh, the Gastralia. I see the Gastralia.
Sue's Play Park. So creative.
Ooh, Carolyn. Uh-oh. Scuba suit. I like that idea. Scuba. Carolyn, do you know what scuba stands for? Okay, I learned this recently. Scuba stands for self-contained underwater breathing apparatus, which is a very cool acronym. Wow, we have so many. We're running out of time. Natty, we got to go to Natty. I like that you included me. Again, pandering is going to get you everywhere.
Keep that neck meat.
Oh, yeah, right? That's some really good
Love
neck.
it.
Christina's going to be upset she missed that neck meat. Em, how do you feel about Mad Dogs here? Ooh, water.
What? This is a new medium for Dino of the Day.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's done watercolors before. It's beautiful.
And I love it.
Bryn. I like that. Skull study. It's a good skull study. I'm into that.
Beautiful shading.
Yep. Wow, you guys are really, these are great. Nicholas is downsized. He was on poster board yesterday. Now we're back to just regular size paper. Big mouth gape. I like that. You know, I'm here for a good mouth gape. That sounded very weird. Anyway, I think that is the end of our gallery. Em, you've seen a lot of our dinosaur paleo art galleries thus far.
Mm-hmm.
Where would we put this one amongst the pantheon of the greatest paleo art galleries we've had?
Ooh, just because of my love for Sue, it's going right to the top. But it's also going right to the Instagram of the Daily Dino.
Good point. Yes.
So that we can see all of them.
The Daily Dino. Can you put that in the chat?
Yep.
Please tag us. Please share these. You guys, our time is just about out. First of all, Em, thank you so much for co-hosting. We might have a surprise from you on Friday. Is that correct? Maybe?
Yeah, that is correct. Maybe.
We'll come back to that. But for now, so tomorrow, you guys, we're going to talk all about science communication. People have asked like how I got to where I am. And by that, I don't mean in this lofted Airbnb. I mean like as far as education, museum, science communication. So I'm going to talk a little bit like about my journey and any professional career advice that you may or may not want to take from me. But more importantly, we're going to have Sarah McAnulty, who is a squid scientist, one of my favorite science communicators ever, and the founder of Skype a Scientist. She's going to be here. We're going to talk all about that. Also love to hear what you guys think is good or bad examples of SciComm. And I know a lot of you are trying to start doing a lot more science communication yourself. So I'm excited to hear about what you guys are doing. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. But for now, I don't care if you're using a toothpick to try to get gunk out of your parasitically infected jaw, or you're trying to rustle down in your pockets to find enough loose change to buy a plane ticket to go to the Field Museum in Chicago when this quarantine is over to see Sue. Never stop digging. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day. I love all of you, but not as much as Sue the T-Rex. Bye.